So my first question for the group is, where are prices in Miami and South Florida right now? Where have they been? Where do you think they're going? And where are we at in the cycle?
We focus mostly in Broward County in Fort Lauderdale. This time around, we've got about 1,000 units in the kind of greater Fort Lauderdale beach area. And I think Carlos and our group account for about half of that. And those projects are all strong, good equity behind them. We're still seeing good demand, but of course we haven't seen the velocity of Miami. We never have, so the cycle tends to be, I think, a little bit flatter there, which for us is a good thing as long as we're targeting the end users, which most of our projects do.
My family bought their first house, only house, in Miami Beach in 1967 for about $65,000, and in the mid-'80s sold it for around $400,000. 10 days ago, I was driving through the neighborhood and visiting my old hood, and I got onto one of the realtor sites to check out what stuff was selling for, and a comparable property now is about $11 million. So I'm feeling the pain, let me just say, of leaving South Florida. So.
The South Florida market is not singular, it's patchy. But the concept of a bubble bursting in the South Florida market needs to be dispelled. South Florida has evolved from a market of boom-bust, a market really driven by unhealthy fundamentals, to a market that we know today is driven by sustainable fundamentals. People want to live there, people move there, and it's no surprise that Canadians continue to want to buy in South Florida.
Gil, I know you've partnered with Trump in the past, as you mentioned, and Carlos, I think you have as well. Probably less of a headache that you are not partnered with him today, I'm sure. Are you actually seeing Canadians say they don't want to buy because of Donald Trump?
Not really, no. I mean, we saw initially. I mean, we own and operate the Trump International Hotel on the beach. Initially, we saw a drop in business. FedEx from Mexico, after that comment came out, dropped $300,000 room stay with a whole bunch of groups and everything. And we have initially, but I looked at it like an investment to our future. I believe in Mr. Trump. I think he's a great guy. I really do hope he wins. And so we look at. There you go. Thank you. One guy, one Canadian, not even a vote. So it's a realtor. No, but having him as a friend and business partner has been always a great push from the beginning and to now. And so I will continue to support and remain his friend. And even if we lose a few bucks here and there, it'll be worth it in the long term.
Can you guys talk about what's happening with the Latin American market in Miami?
Specifically from South America, I mean, there's a lot of wealth in those countries that they just can't show it. They can't use their wealth. It's almost like they make money for no reason. Because living there, you have to live very humbly. Otherwise, you put your own life at risk and your family's life at risk. So these people will come, and they're constantly making money. And as things go in their countries, there's very few. There's always that small group that's making the majority of the money. What do they do with it? They come to Miami.
I would also say, as it relates to Latin America, not so much Canada, the decision to move money into the United States market, Florida in particular, is not driven exclusively by their desire to enjoy the lifestyle, visit the properties, but also it's a political safe haven, it's a financial safe haven.
There are a lot of brokers in the audience today. Jay or anybody else, how does it work as far as referrals, either brokerages or new developments in terms of Canadian brokers?
Interestingly, I was talking to Mike about this. I'm from Toronto, so I'm very proud to be here, and I love the country and I love the city. And I'll tell you that we have never really powerfully connected the Toronto or Canadian brokerage industry to that in South Florida in particular. And I think that's a missed opportunity. I think there's a lot of income that can be earned by brokers by simply building relationships.
If you're a realtor in Toronto, the best time to ask is when it's -20. Sorry, I'm talking Celsius, but when it's super cold out, people are thinking about escaping.
Show a picture of the country.
To web brokers' appetites, what sort of commissions do you offer at your new developments, guys?
When I'm in case by case, it was project by project. Our projects typically pay 5%, but there are projects that will pay more to get those brokers to the door.
We pay more. We pay a lot more. Sometimes the best way to speed up sales and not to drag on with a sales center or marketing cost is to incentivize the brokers a little bit more and make them come to your job instead of going to some other job. So it's an interesting dynamic, and I think it's money well spent when people really put the effort on getting the buyers to the finish line.